Savvy Business Radio, drawing out the best from our guests with our host, Christina Nichman.
Our guest today is Rockwell Shah, founder of Pzizz. They have designed a dynamic audio that helps people get a great night's sleep, take refreshing naps, and stay focused. Get a great night's sleep tonight and download Pzizz at Pzizz.com, that is Pzizz.com, or at App Store or Google Play. Hi, Rockwell. Welcome to Savvy Business Radio. I'm so blessed to have you here today. How are you?
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Oh my gosh, I am so happy to have you here. Pzizz, a sleep app that you've created to help people around the world get the necessary sleep that we're all missing in this modern, hectic world. I myself I'm always on the go, getting about 4 to 5 hours of sleep a day. By the end of the week, I'm toast, and it's just not healthy.
No, that breaks my heart. Please don't tell me that.
I mean, it's so sad. And so many people around me, I'm hearing the same thing. And I'm guessing, even if you eat right, even if you exercise, this one piece of your health, not getting it straight, can be the thing that can, end up causing disease later on and a lot of other health issues. But share with the audience a little bit about your backstory and what brought you to creating Pzizz.
Sure. So, I think first to frame it, most people don't realize, but there is a public health epidemic in poor sleep, right? So 70 million people in the US, about 30% of Europe, globally 2 billion people suffer from insomnia. And the vast majority of these cases of insomnia are caused by the same simple disease. It's just too much thinking.
Really?
Right? So people are lying awake in bed at night, unable to shut off their brains. And the real key is if you can quiet someone's mind, you can get them to fall asleep. And that's what Pzizz does. So we have this patented system that plays you a sleep optimized mix of music, voiceover, and sound effects that changes each night that will just quickly quiet your mind, put you to sleep, keep you asleep, and then wake you up feeling refreshed. And that is the core of what Pzizz does. And so when we say we deliver sleep at the push of a button, that's what we mean.
You mean
now the journey to creating this has been really interesting. I think there were a couple of very key pivotal moments in my life that led me to Pzizz. One of them early on is, as a teenager, I suffered from horrible insomnia. I was the guy that would be up at 1, 2, 3, sometimes even 4 a.m. unable to sleep. And even if I did get to sleep, I would wake up a bunch of times in the middle of the night. I mean, it was a horrible experience. And most, about 2/3 of the world doesn't suffer from insomnia. So they don't quite understand how much of an impact it can make not having good sleep. But for about 1/3 of the world that does have this problem, it's an enormous issue that pervades every part of their life. Because if you're not sleeping well, it's one of the fundamental pillars of health. So if you're not sleeping well, your relationships are going to suffer. You'll get in more automobile accidents. Your health will suffer. Your your cognitive functions will deprecate. I mean, you really are not bringing your A game every single day if you're not getting great sleep. And so I think that was a big impact on me. And then also a really key moment that looking back on, I realize now how much of an impact it had was I've had a best friend since I was 6 years old. His name is Fred. And Fred and I have been very close for years and years. And we were in Miami in 2012. And it was my birthday. We're at an Italian restaurant. There was a group of friends all going out. And, we're laughing and having a good time. And we're dressed up and everybody's just excited to be out. And in the middle of dinner, Fred taps me on the shoulder and he looks at me and he goes, "Rock, I think I've been drugged."
Whoa.
And he is drenched in sweat. His pupils are dilated. His heart is pounding out of his chest. And we're at an Italian restaurant. I mean, we're not doing anything crazy. And I look at him, I've never seen him like this before. I mean, Fred was the most easygoing guy. Nothing in the world bothered him. Everything was perfectly fine all the time. Mm-hmm. And here I was seeing him in such a state of disarray. And we actually had 3 doctors at the table that night, and nobody knew what was going on with him. And so we got up, we had to calm him down. Like he thought he was going to die on the spot. I mean, he was really in disarray and out of sorts. We took him to the hospital eventually. They didn't know what was wrong with him. They did a bunch of scans. They told him, "You're fine. There's nothing wrong with you." But clearly there was something wrong with him. And it wasn't until months and months later that he was diagnosed with severe anxiety disorder. And what he had experienced that night was his first ever panic attack. Oh. And I had never seen it before. It wasn't even in my realm of existence to know that people could have panic attacks like this out of nowhere, seemingly. Wow. And, his vision changed. He used to have 20/20 vision. And after that night, he had to go to an optometrist and had to get glasses. He could no longer see the same way.
Why?
Everything, there's so many, I mean, it had such a neurological impact on him. It fundamentally changed aspects of his physiology. And when we think about things like anxiety, we think it's like, oh, you're just stressed out, like calm down, you're fine. Like life is fine, everything is okay. But that's not always how it works. And, there are types of anxiety in which you can have such a strong reaction, and it's not just all in your head, and it plays out in your physiology, and it has real effects on your body.
Wow.
And people don't realize this. And I think this was a really interesting, pivotal moment for me to understand more about mental health and mental well-being, because it happened to somebody that was so close to me, that I loved so much. And so, I graduated from Cornell University in economics in 2010. And at that time, I was working at a medical software company. So I was a remote technical support agent at that medical software company. And over a number of years, I worked my way up from support agent to being president of the firm. And I learned so many things about the healthcare space at that time. And one of the big gaps that I saw was in sleep. And one of the biggest drivers of issues with sleep is anxiety.
Wow. So,
and there are really strong ties there. And most people don't even realize that.
I'm curious about this. I really am, because I've actually witnessed, when you witness your friend, I've seen someone in a panic attack, and I never thought of the correlation that perhaps could not only the stress in their life, perhaps, but could the lack of sleep be playing a part in what they're going through. It never even occurred to me. As a teenager, when my parents got divorced, I went through a couple of panic attacks where it was interesting. I'd be walking down the hallway in school, and all of a sudden I felt like I was an inch tall. And everything was so huge, it was going to crush me. And I couldn't move. I was paralyzed for like a half hour straight. I couldn't move. So, I mean, everyone has, I guess, manifests differently. But it's interesting. If I were to go back in time, were I even getting enough sleep based on what was going on around me? Was I having insomnia myself? When you mentioned insomnia, I hear so many people going through it and having difficulty with me. And you're right, Rockwell. For me, I can't shut my brain down. I'm like, there's one more thing I have to do, one more email I have to check, one more piece of work I have to do. And so I go to bed at 2 and wake up at 6. It's just crazy. But it's interesting. Has there been a lot of scientific research between sleep and anxiety and stress?
Yes, a ton. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of research in this field. There's a lot of research about the causes and the dimensions of it and the consequences of it. Absolutely.
Wow. So Pzizz, is it able to help people get that center back, and whatever stress is going on, is that push of a button allowing you to get back the kind of balance in your life within your mind? Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we look at pretty strongly is the clinical and academic research and what's happening in labs all around the world, and what are we seeing works. And one of the terrible things is that there's so much research that sits on the shelf that never sees the light of day. And so one of the core principles of Pzizz is taking that research and turning it into reality. How can we consumerize it? How can we get people to benefit from all of this research? And intuitively, we all know that music has great power, right? We listen to music to pump us up at the gym. You put a horror movie on mute, it's not so scary anymore. We even know that music can put people to sleep. That's why we sing lullabies to our children. Mm-hmm. But there's something so much more effective than Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And that's really what we do. So we design these pieces of music. So we call them dreamscapes. They're the sounds that you listen to as you fall asleep. And we design them with the science of psychoacoustics. So psychoacoustics is the branch of psychology that deals with sound perception and its physiological effects. And so we have a research team that analyzes a lot of studies and a lot of information coming out of psychoacoustics and tailors it to our audio engineering team so that they can understand how to build these pieces of music that are not only beautiful to listen to, but they will lull your body into sleep. They have the right rhythm and pace and texture of sounds and combination of instruments and chord progressions and all that to just get you to relax. And on top of those dreamscapes, we pair narrations, voiceovers that have techniques that are used really effectively. Things like progressive muscle relaxation, heart rate variability breathing, autogenic training, guided imagery, mindfulness, clinical sleep hypnosis. There's so many of these techniques that we're layering on top of the dreamscape. So when you listen to it, you have these beautiful sounds that are infused with psychoacoustics, and you have these narrations that have all of these clinical sleep interventions embedded into them. And when you combine that package together using our learning algorithms with Pzizz that, get to understand your personal preferences and what kind of sounds you like over time, you get a really effective package at putting somebody to sleep.
We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsor, AdRoll.
I got this phone call about 5:30, 6 a.m., was tasked with devising a go-to-market strategy for a rebrand. We knew that we had resonated with those hikers or those surfers or skiers, but we needed to expand our reach and make sure that these people were able to go from the boardroom to the board with our sunglasses. AdRoll was definitely instrumental in getting this new brand out there, both from a prospecting and remarketing standpoint, and they kind of helped me break down how the funnel looked and how we wanted to position our messaging. I was getting slacks from everyone at the company when they'd see an ad somewhere in the New York Times. Everyone was super stoked to see our new content and our new brand creative out there. They definitely helped me shine internally at Sunski from a marketing standpoint.
To find out how Sunski and 37,000 other brands grow their businesses with AdRoll, visit adroll.com/savvy. That's ADROLL.com/savvy.
Wow.
Night in and night out.
Wow. What I'm gathering from this is because many years ago I had worked with someone who helped me with guided meditation for my business. And we would do it during the middle of the day just to get a focus on where my vision and where I want to go with my business. And often I ended up doing it at night in the morning, which would really help me get a very calm start to the day. And I kind of felt like also when I did yoga, it was the same thing. Has this come about for you kind of looking at some of the Eastern traditions and seeing how that could incorporate, or is it just kind of coincidence that they're similar?
There's a certain aspect of, we do use aspects of meditation and mindfulness in the scripts and the narrations that we have. I think though that at the moment there's this big mindfulness meditation craze. You see lots of meditation apps and everybody pushing meditation. And I think meditation can be really powerful, but ultimately it's just one technique of many that can be helpful. And so focusing on just meditation or just yoga or just, any particular field is missing the big picture, which is that, there are, your mind could be racing for any number of reasons. And and for any of those number of reasons, there could be a technique that could address that in a different way that could help. And, I don't see any reason why you should limit yourself to any one specific technique when you can use all of them in conjunction. And in fact, research shows that it's better when you combine these things together and don't use them separately. They're actually more effective when you combine them together.
I love that you bring this point up. One of the things that used to drive me crazy when I would go to, say, a yoga class is I couldn't get my mind to stop racing. And you kind of feel defeated, like, this isn't working. Darn, I'm not very good at this. But I like what you say, that each person is different. There's several techniques out there that can help you find what's perfect for you in your mind, and what works, sounds, and otherwise to actually quiet you and bring you to a calm state where you can actually get the best sleep.
Yeah, we think about it. So when we create one of our most popular narrations that has a lot of clinical sleep interventions that have been known to be really effective and people find soothing, it's called Relax into Sleep. And the way that we built this narration was very unique. So we thought about it in, what are all the techniques that we could put into one script that would make it highly effective but still enjoyable. And so you could think about it almost as a funnel where at first 100% of the population is awake listening to the script. And then you try one technique like heart rate variability breathing, and all of a sudden, 15% of the people are sleeping. But the people that are still awake, you try another technique on them, mindfulness or cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, or guided imagery. One by one, you try another technique and you get that portion of the population to fall asleep, right? And so by the end of the script, everybody's asleep. You've tried everything in the toolbox and pretty much everyone's asleep.
And so when you were putting this together, did you bring people to a sleep lab and have them try your different techniques to see what worked? But how did it work in the research stage?
Yeah, there's actually a couple of things. So yeah, we brought people in and we tested on individuals, but we also have this wonderful group of people that we call the Pzizz pioneers. Ooh. They are the kind of raving fan base of Pzizz from all around the world, and there's thousands of them. And when we're done testing internally, we push it out to the Pzizz pioneers for them to beta test. And they give us all sorts of amazing feedback from all around the world and all these different cultures and perspectives and languages, that how do they interpret the content? Because as you can imagine, we work in over 160 different countries. We have users in over 160 different countries. So people's perspectives on things are different in different parts of the world. And so by pushing out to such a large user base and gathering their feedback and iterating on it, we can get a more perfect Pzizz, so to speak.
I love that. So let's go back. I'm a little curious. When you had said that there's a portion of the population that suffers from insomnia, and you had said that basically they can't turn their mind off. Are those people just more like, I just, like me, I don't want to just stop working, or there's always something more I could do? How does that come about that you get insomnia? Is it a certain personality type, or does it come across in different parts of your life when you become more stressed or otherwise?
There are so many subgroups and subpopulations. It's not just one cause.
Wow.
Commonly speaking, there's a lot of people that suffer from stress from work. They get overworked or they get too taxed from work, and that starts causing insomnia for them. There are people that, one of the top reasons that people suffer from insomnia is actually somebody died in their life. So somebody that they love passed away. We had, I'll never forget this. When we were sent out a survey a couple of years ago to gather feedback on why people use Pzizz, one of the top 5 answers was, my loved one died. And I can't sleep at night, and it's so nice to have these sounds and this voice just soothing me and helping me get past this. So you have that whole subcategory, which I think most people don't even think about. There's people that go through financial troubles or relationship problems, and that causes stress. I mean, just think about anything that could stress someone out, what that could be. And
Yeah.
You know, when you look at all of those reasons, you have the whole gamut of possibilities for what could be causing somebody's insomnia. Now, to be clear, there are other types of insomnia that have nothing to do with stress and that have nothing to do with racing mind. But the vast majority of the problem is people thinking too much.
Wow. So I'd like to talk about, now that Pzizz is out there and helping so many people, share some of the success stories and how it's changed people's lives after they started using the app.
As a young entrepreneur years ago, I thought that, you know, I came from a background that didn't have a lot of wealth, and I thought, oh, you know, I want to become an entrepreneur to make more money and be financially secure in life. And, you know, when I started getting into it, I realized very quickly that wasn't true. Like, money was not a great motivator for me.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I thought, okay, well, I'm not motivated by money. Maybe I'm motivated by making cool products, you know, products that people like. And, yeah, I made some really cool products and launched them. And that didn't really hit home either. That wasn't really a great motivator. And it wasn't until I started doing Pzizz that I'm receiving these thank you emails and thank you tweets and Facebook messages saying, you changed my sleep, you changed my life. I can't, there's not enough gratitude in this world to say thank you. Thank you. And that was the moment that I realized that for me personally, I'm more motivated by making an impact for people, that whatever we're building and whatever we put out in the world, that it makes a change for someone. And that was a light bulb moment for me. When I realized, well, I was like, wow, this is the reason. And it's such an invigorating feeling, and it drives and motivates not only me, but the whole Pzizz team to push forward and really deliver on our mission to bring great sleep to the world. And we're so fanatic about this that we actually have a section on our blog that you can go on and you can read people's stories. So you can read the testimonials from real people all around the world and what they say. And, you know, one of the ones that stuck out to me the most was there's a woman named Julie Wright from California who said that, you know, thank you. You saved my life because I was on the verge of suicide from insomnia caused by my PTSD. And Pzizz was the only thing that worked.
Wow.
And we get stories like that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this, Rockwell, because for me, I don't get enough sleep, but my butt needs to go towards the bed, get in the bed, and use Pzizz to get me to sleep. Because one more hour awake is not going to make things happen. The next day, like you said, you're not effective when you don't get the proper sleep. But how many people have I met in my life who are not living their best life, not even giving their best and all to everything they do because they're so exhausted? And it's a big problem here in America. I'm sure it is across the world now as well. And it's so awesome that you created something that people can use to finally get the sleep they need. This week alone, I got one day of 8 hours sleep, and man, did I feel like $1 million next day.
You know, one of the great things about people getting great sleep is that they love sharing it. And especially, you know, some of the big organic celebrity testimonials we've gotten, you know, we don't know these people. We don't know, you know, for instance, J.K. Rowling, who said Pzizz was the best thing she's used for sleep by a mile. We don't know Roy Hibbert, who told Sports Illustrated that we cured his Ambien addiction. But, you know, these people just said these things organically, and that's part of the power of delivering something so critical to your health. You know, when you get a great night's sleep and you wake up the next morning, how does that shape the rest of your day? How does that frame the rest of your life? I mean, it makes such a big impact.
Yeah. And you know what I'm getting, Rockwell? For me, when I get good sleep, I'm not only more effective and better in my day, I'm happier. I was so much more positive when I was like having that 8 hours of sleep the night before that I felt much more energy.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. You know, doctors say there's 3 pillars to health. There's nutrition, there's exercise, and you guessed it, there's sleep. And really, I think there's really 4 pillars to health. And I think the next one is mental health, which I think we as a health system, we are understanding more and more that dimension of mental health and how it plays in every aspect of life. But they're all tied together, right? If you're missing any one of these components, your life is going to not be nearly as good as it could.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I want everyone listening in, if they're not getting that great night's sleep they should be, where can they get Pzizz today?
It's very easy. So it's on iOS, it's on Android. So you open your App Store, you open Google Play, you type in Pzizz, P-Z-I-Z-Z. In fact, actually, if you just type in P and Z, usually it'll autocomplete Pzizz because we were the only people crazy enough to put a P and a Z next to each other. So yeah, download it. It's an app. You download it, you push a button, you listen to it, and it guides you to sleep.
Yeah. And does it cost anything or is it free?
It's freemium. So a core part of the experience is totally for free. If you want more dreamscapes, if you want more narrations, if you want more features, there is a paid version. You do get 7 days of the pro paid version totally for free when you download it. And really important, it does not auto charge you. So after the 7 days, you don't get automatically charged. You have 7 days totally for free to try out all the features and content to see if it works for you.
And if they're interested in this rocking their world, what is there different plans, or do they just, what does it get charged after the 7 days?
Sure. It's $10 a month or $99 a year.
Oh my God, that's freaking awesome. For to fix that part of your life and to be sleeping like rocking around the world. Oh my gosh, that is such a great price. Wow. So everyone go get Pzizz today, because I know a lot of Americans, including myself, are not getting the sleep we need. And Rockwell, I just have to thank you for coming to share your great wisdom and awesome app today on Savvy Business Radio.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Savvy Business Radio broadcasts worldwide via a large podcast network, celebrating business owners, entrepreneurs, influencers, and successful individuals. Find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest. Call 732-474-7375 or email Christina@savvybusinessradio.com.